Today, I have prepared 4 horror stories for you. Enjoy listening. Share your opinion in the comments. The rugged terrain stretched out before me like a tapestry woven from earth and sky as I wound my way up the mountain roads toward Martin's remote cabin. The scent of pine mingled with memories of childhood summers spent in the embrace of these ancient woods, beckoning me home. Martin's invitation had arrived like a whisper from the past, bearing promises of redemption and reconciliation. Despite the years that had passed since we last saw each other, the bond of blood ran deeper than the scars of time. The cabin emerged from the trees like a sentinel against the wilderness, its weathered facade a testament to the resilience of its inhabitant. As I parked in front of the rustic dwelling, anticipation quickened my pulse, mingling with the whisper of distant memories. Stepping out into the crisp mountain air, I was greeted by the warmth of Martin's embrace, a balm against the chill of uncertainty that had settled in my heart. His smile, though weathered by time and trial, held the promise of kinship renewed. "Welcome home, brother," he greeted, his voice a symphony of gravel and grace. "It's good to see you, Martin," I replied, returning his embrace with a sense of longing I had long buried. As we stepped into the cabin, memories danced like shadows against the walls, weaving tales of summers gone by. Midst the crackle of the hearth and the scent of pine, we shared stories of the past, each word a thread in the tapestry of our shared history. "And how have you been, Martin?" I ventured, the weight of unspoken questions lingering in the air. Martin's gaze lingered on the fire, his expression a mosaic of shadows and light. "I've been better, but I'm finding my way," he replied, his voice tinged with a hint of longing. Silence settled between us like snowfall, each flake a testament to the depths of our shared silence. Yet beneath the surface, I sensed a glimmer of hope, a flicker of redemption waiting to be kindled. As the fire dwindled to embers, casting its warm glow against the walls, I knew that our reunion held more than mere nostalgia. It held the promise of a future yet unwritten, a journey into the heart of the unknown. Within the cozy confines of Martin's cabin, time seemed to stand still, each moment pregnant with the weight of memories long forgotten. The crackling fire cast dancing shadows upon the walls, painting portraits of summers past and winters endured. Seated across from Martin, I watched as the flames reflected in his eyes, their flickering light a mirror to the depths of his soul. In the silence that followed, I sensed the weight of unspoken words, a symphony of echoes lingering in the spaces between us. "How have you been, really?" I asked, my voice a whisper against the backdrop of crackling embers. Martin's gaze drifted to the window, where the moon hung like a silver coin in the night sky. "It's been a journey," he replied, his words a tapestry woven from sorrow and solace. "But I'm finding my way, one step at a time." The fire crackled in agreement, its warmth a comforting presence in the chill of the mountain night. And as we sat in silence, I felt the weight of our shared history pressing upon us, an invisible tether binding us together across the expanse of time. "Tell me about the cabin," I ventured, eager to unravel the mysteries that lay hidden within its walls. Martin's eyes softened, a hint of nostalgia dancing in their depths. "It's been my sanctuary," he confessed, his voice a whisper against the canvas of night. "The place to escape the world, to find peace amidst the chaos." And as he spoke, I glimpsed the man he had become, a survivor forged in the crucible of adversity, his spirit tempered by the fires of experience. In that moment, I knew that our journey had only just begun. Pilgrimage into the heart of darkness, guided by the light of shared understanding. The night draped the mountain cabin in a blanket of darkness, punctuated only by the glow of flickering firelight. Within its walls, the air hung heavy with anticipation, whispers of unease swirling like mist in the moonlit forest. Restless beneath the weight of sleep, I ventured outside, drawn by the siren song of secrets waiting to be unearthed. The forest whispered tales of forgotten lore, its ancient laws a testament to the passage of time. As I walked, the night unfolded around me, a symphony of shadows and silence. And it was amidst this nocturnal reverie that I stumbled upon the scene. A dance of silhouettes beneath the canopy of stars. Orin, Martin's enigmatic neighbor, stood locked in a tango of words with a figure cloaked in darkness, their voices a discordant symphony in the stillness of the night. The air crackled with tension, the weight of their words hanging like heavy fog. "Who are you?" Orin's voice cut through the darkness, sharp as a knife. The figure remained silent, its presence a specter haunting the edges of my vision. And as I watched, heart pounding against the cage of my ribs, I knew that I stood at the precipice of something far greater than myself. A convergence of fate and circumstance, woven into the fabric of the night. And then, as quickly as it had begun, the encounter dissolved into the ether, leaving only questions in its wake. As I returned to the cabin, the weight of uncertainty settled upon me like a shroud, casting its shadow over the sanctuary we had sought in these mountains. In the wake of the moonlit encounter, a sense of disquiet lingered within the confines of Martin's cabin, like a specter haunting the edges of our consciousness. The fire crackled in protest, its flames casting long shadows against the walls as we gathered in silent contemplation. It was Orin who broke the silence, his voice a low rumble in the stillness of the night. "There are truths that lie buried beneath the surface," he murmured, his gaze fixed on the flickering flames. Martin's eyes met his, silent acknowledgement passing between them. "Some shadows are harder to shake than others," he admitted, his voice tinged with resignation. And as they spoke, I sensed the weight of their shared history pressing upon us, a tapestry woven from threads of loss and longing, bound together by the passage of time. "What happened that night?" I asked, my voice a whisper against the backdrop of crackling embers. Orin's gaze met mine, his expression unreadable. "There are things better left unsaid," he replied cryptically, his words a testament to the depths of his silence. But beneath the surface, I sensed a glimmer of understanding, recognition that echoed in the spaces between our words. And as the fire dwindled to embers, casting its warm glow upon the room, I knew that the veil had begun to unravel. Journey into the heart of darkness, guided by the light of shared understanding. As the first light of dawn hid the sky in hues of gold and amber, we stood at the threshold of the unknown, a trio bound by the invisible threads of fate and circumstance. The mountain air hummed with anticipation, the promise of a new beginning hanging heavy in the crisp morning air. With Martin at my side and Orin as our guide, we embarked upon a journey into the heart of darkness, a pilgrimage forged in the crucible of shared silence and unspoken truths. Each step forward was a testament to our resilience, a defiance against the shadows that had long haunted our footsteps. "We're in this together," Martin murmured, his voice a beacon of hope in the wilderness of uncertainty. Orin nodded in agreement, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "The path ahead may be treacherous, but we will walk it together," he declared, his words a vow etched in stone. And as we ventured into the unknown, the mountains whispered tales of forgotten lore, their ancient voices a symphony of wind and shadow. With each passing mile, we shed the weight of our pasts, embracing the promise of a future yet unwritten. The journey tested us in ways we could never have imagined, each trial a crucible in which our bonds were forged anew. And yet, amidst the chaos and uncertainty, we found solace in the company of kindred spirits, a reminder that even in the darkest of nights, there shines a light to guide us home. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting its final benediction upon the mountainside, I knew that our journey was far from over. But with Martin at my side and Orin as our guide, I faced the unknown with courage and conviction, knowing that together we would find our way. The woods near Martin's property whispered secrets as old as time, their towering trees weaving a canopy that seemed to stretch endlessly into the heavens. With each step I took, the earth beneath my boots crunched softly, a melody of nature's symphony. Sunlight filtered through the dense foliage, casting ethereal patterns of light and shadow upon the forest floor. The air was thick with the scent of pine needles and damp earth, and the rustling of leaves hinted at the hidden inhabitants of the woods. I ventured deeper into the heart of the wilderness, my senses alive to the sights and sounds that surrounded me. The woods embraced me with a sense of tranquility, offering respite from the chaos of the outside world. As I walked, I marveled at the beauty of nature's handiwork, the delicate dance of sunlight and shadow, the gentle sway of branches in the breeze. But beneath the serene facade, I sensed a primal energy pulsing through the woods, a reminder of the untamed wilderness that lay just beyond the surface. Lost in the embrace of the forest, I felt a sense of freedom wash over me, a liberation from the constraints of civilization, a return to a simpler way of being. And little did I know that amidst the tranquility of the woods, a storm was brewing, a tempest of danger and intrigue that would forever alter the course of my journey. As I continued deeper into the heart of the woods, the whispers of the trees grew louder, their secrets beckoning me into the unknown. And little did I know that my footsteps would lead me down a path fraught with peril, where the shadows held more than just darkness. They held the keys to a truth that would shake the very foundations of my world. The tranquility of the woods was shattered by the sudden rustle of underbrush, a sound that seemed to reverberate through the dense foliage like a warning bell. My senses snapped to attention, every nerve tingling with a primal instinct that urged caution. From the shadows emerged a figure, tall and imposing, his presence casting a shadow over the serenity of the forest. His eyes burned with an intensity that sent a chill down my spine, his gaze fixed upon me with unwavering determination. "Where is he?" His voice cut through the stillness like a knife, sharp and menacing. I struggled to make sense of the demand, my mind racing to comprehend the situation unfolding before me. "Who are you looking for?" I managed to stammer out, my voice betraying the fear that gnawed at the edges of my composure. The stranger's lips curled into a sneer, his features contorted with frustration. "Martin," he spat, the name dripping with venom. "He owes me money, and I aim to collect." The weight of his words hung heavy in the air, the implications sinking in with a sickening thud. Caught in the crossfire of a feud not of my making, I stood rooted to the spot, my heart pounding in my chest. "I don't know where he is," I replied, my voice trembling with uncertainty. I was just exploring the woods, but the stranger's expression remained unyielding, his resolve unwavering. "You're lying," he growled, taking a menacing step forward, "and I won't leave until I get what's mine." As fear threatened to consume me, I realized that I was faced with a choice: to stand my ground against the encroaching darkness or to succumb to the shadows that threatened to swallow me whole. And with every fiber of my being, I knew that the path ahead would test me in ways I could never have imagined. The tension in the air was palpable, a thick fog of apprehension that hung heavy around us as the stranger's menacing presence loomed larger with each passing moment. Shadows danced eerily around us, casting a surreal backdrop to the confrontation unfolding in the heart of the woods. I stood my ground, my heart pounding in my chest, as the stranger's eyes bore into mine with a fiery intensity. His features contorted with rage, a storm brewing beneath the surface of his facade. "I don't have what you're looking for," I stated, trying to keep my voice steady despite the fear coiling in the pit of my stomach. The stranger's lips curled into a sinister grin, his laughter a hollow echo in the silence of the forest. "You expect me to believe that?" he sneered, taking a menacing step forward. As the distance between us closed, I could feel the weight of his anger pressing down upon me, threatening to suffocate me in its intensity. But I refused to back down, my resolve bolstered by a stubborn determination to protect myself and Martin from whatever vendetta this man carried. "We can figure this out," I said, my voice tinged with urgency. "There's no need for violence." But the stranger's eyes narrowed, his expression hardening into a mask of defiance. "Violence is the only language some people understand," he spat, his words dripping with malice. As the tension reached its breaking point, I braced myself for the inevitable clash, my heart racing with a mixture of fear and adrenaline. In the depths of the forest, far from the prying eyes of civilization, the stage was set for a confrontation that would forever alter the course of our fates. The overgrown foliage cradled the abandoned house like a mournful embrace, its time-worn facade standing as a stoic sentinel against the encroaching wilderness. Intrigued by the allure of forgotten stories and untold histories, I found myself drawn to this dilapidated relic of yesteryears. As I approached, the creaking gate swung open with a hesitant groan, as if reluctant to reveal the secrets held within. The front porch sagged under the weight of years, and the windows, once transparent portals to a lively past, were now opaque with layers of neglect. With each step across the threshold, a chorus of creaks and sighs accompanied my journey into the heart of the abandoned house. The air inside felt dense with the residue of countless memories, each room a silent witness to a bygone era. A soft breeze rustled through the decaying curtains, and dust motes danced in the filtered sunlight. The atmosphere was charged with an eerie stillness, broken only by the echoes of my own footsteps reverberating through the deserted halls. As I wandered through the forsaken rooms, the fading wallpaper whispered tales of celebrations and sorrows. The floors groaned beneath the weight of my curiosity, and the discarded relics of a forgotten life lay scattered like the remnants of a dream. A voice, low and haunting, seemed to murmur through the cracks in the walls, beckoning me deeper into the enigma. Who walks these halls after so long? I muttered to myself, the silence amplifying my words. In the dim light, I stumbled upon a room untouched by time. A grand piano, its lacquer faded and keys yellowed, stood as a haunting reminder of the music that had once filled these walls. As I ran my fingers over the dust-laden keys, a melancholic melody seemed to echo through the desolation. And then, as if in response to the unspoken invitation, the air shifted and a presence materialized in the doorway. An ethereal figure, the embodiment of the house's forsaken past. "Welcome," a whisper echoed, the voice both spectral and warm, as if the very essence of the house had come to life. Caught between reality and the unknown, I hesitated, uncertain of what lay ahead. The abandoned house, once silent and still, now pulsed with the promise of untold tales, inviting me to unlock the secrets concealed within its time-worn walls. In the dimly lit interior of the abandoned house, shadows danced like specters, casting an otherworldly aura over the desolate surroundings. It was amidst this eerie backdrop that I first encountered him, a figure shrouded in mystery, his presence both captivating and unsettling. "Who goes there?" I called out, my voice tinged with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension, as the silhouette emerged from the darkness. The man, Alex, as he introduced himself, regarded me with an intensity that seemed to pierce through the veil of the unknown. His eyes, pools of shadow and light, held a depth of knowledge that hinted at a world beyond my comprehension. "I could ask you the same question," he replied, his voice a low rumble that reverberated through the silence of the abandoned house. Caught off guard by his enigmatic response, I struggled to find the right words. I'm here to explore the house." I managed to stammer out, my gaze locked with his. Alex's lips curled into a cryptic smile, his features obscured by the shifting shadows. "A seeker of mysteries, are you?" he mused, his voice tinged with amusement. As the seconds stretched into eternity, a palpable tension hung between us, thickening the air with unspoken truths and hidden agendas. It was as though the abandoned house itself had become a stage for the unfolding drama of our encounter. "I don't mean any harm," I offered, the sincerity in my voice a stark contrast to the uncertainty that gnawed at the edges of my composure. But Alex remained unreadable, his gaze unwavering. "Perhaps," he murmured, his words a cryptic echo in the empty halls. "But sometimes, harm finds us, whether we seek it or not." And with those ominous words hanging in the air like a dark omen, I couldn't shake the feeling that our encounter was merely the beginning of a journey into the depths of the unknown. A journey fraught with danger and deception, where the line between reality and illusion blurred into obscurity. In the days that followed my encounter with Alex, the enigmatic stranger whose presence lingered like a shadow in the recesses of my mind, I found myself consumed by a relentless pursuit of truth, a quest to unravel the tangled web of deception that veiled the abandoned house and its mysterious inhabitant. Armed with determination and a dogged persistence, I delved into the depths of research, scouring archives and poring over forgotten records in search of answers. Each clue unearthed was a shard of light in the darkness, guiding me closer to the heart of the enigma that had captivated my imagination. And then, like a revelation shrouded in mist, the truth began to emerge from the shadows, a tapestry of lies and half-truths woven into the fabric of the abandoned house's forgotten history. In a stroke of luck, I stumbled upon a faded document hidden amidst the archives, a deed to the house bearing a name that sent shivers down my spine. Alexander Petrovic, the enigmatic figure who had crossed my path in the abandoned house. With trembling hands, I traced the lines of ink that spelled out the truth. Alex was not the rightful owner of the house, but rather an imposter, a ghost haunting the halls of a past that was not his own. Armed with this newfound knowledge, I confronted Alex, his expression a mask of defiance as I laid bare the deception that had ensnared us both. "What do you know of the house?" I demanded, my voice tinged with a mixture of anger and betrayal. Alex regarded me with a cool detachment, his features betraying no hint of emotion. "The house belongs to me," he declared, his voice steady despite the gravity of the accusations leveled against him. But I refused to be swayed by his words, my resolve unyielding. "Your lies cannot obscure the truth," I countered, my voice ringing with conviction. "The house belongs to another, and your deception will not go unpunished." And as the echoes of our confrontation faded into the silence of the abandoned house, I knew that the unraveling of the deception was only the beginning. Prelude to a revelation that would shake the very foundations of the world we thought we knew. The Minnesota wilderness stretched out before us like a vast, untamed canvas, painted with hues of green and gold as far as the eye could see. Towering pines stood sentinel over the landscape, their branches whispering secrets to the wind as we embarked on our camping adventure. With the sun hanging low in the sky, casting long shadows that danced through the undergrowth, my cousins and I trudged along the forest trail, our backpacks laden with supplies and anticipation. The air was crisp with the scent of pine needles, and the sounds of nature enveloped us in a symphony of serenity. So we ventured deeper into the heart of the wilderness. The rhythm of the forest enveloped us, a melodic blend of rustling leaves, chirping birds, and the distant rush of a nearby stream. With each step, the cares of the world fell away, replaced by a sense of freedom and wonder. "Isn't it beautiful out here?" my cousin Sarah exclaimed, her voice filled with awe as she gazed out at the sprawling expanse of trees. I nodded in agreement, my heart swelling with gratitude for the opportunity to immerse ourselves in the natural splendor of the wilderness. "It's like another world," I replied, my words tinged with wonder. As we pressed onward, the forest seemed to come alive around us, teeming with the hidden wonders of nature waiting to be discovered. And little did we know that amidst the tranquil beauty of the Minnesota wilderness, an encounter awaited us, one that would challenge our perceptions of safety and security, and leave us questioning the very essence of the world around us. The sun had begun its descent behind the towering pines as we settled into our campsite, the crackling of the fire punctuating the tranquil silence of the forest. Shadows danced around us, casting an enchanting glow over the wilderness as we prepared for the night ahead. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the depths of the woods. Park Ranger, his uniform a beacon of authority against the backdrop of nature's grandeur. His presence commanded attention, his stride purposeful as he approached our campsite with an air of confidence. "Evening, campers," the ranger greeted, his voice carrying across the clearing with a warmth that belied his stern demeanor. "Just making my rounds, ensuring everyone's abiding by the rules of the park." My cousin Jack nodded in acknowledgement, a hint of admiration in his voice. "We appreciate your diligence, Ranger." "Call me Mark," the ranger replied with a friendly smile, his eyes scanning our campsite with a practiced gaze. "And it's my pleasure to ensure the safety of all visitors to the park." As Mark circled the campfire, his presence seemed to instill a sense of security amidst the vast expanse of wilderness that surrounded us. We exchanged pleasantries, sharing stories of past adventures and marveling at the beauty of the natural world. But beneath the surface of our camaraderie, a sense of unease lingered, a whisper of doubt that gnawed at the edges of our consciousness. And as the night wore on, the shadows seemed to grow deeper, concealing secrets that lurked just beyond the reach of our campfire's glow. As the fire crackled and the night wore on, a sense of unease settled over our campsite like a heavy blanket, casting a shadow over the once tranquil wilderness. The warmth of the fire provided little comfort against the chill that seemed to permeate the air, and whispers of uncertainty danced on the edges of our consciousness. Suddenly, breaking the stillness of the night, the park ranger, Mark, appeared once more, his silhouette a stark contrast against the darkness of the surrounding forest. Beside him stood two others, their faces obscured by the shadows, their presence an ominous reminder of the unknown. Mark's voice, once warm and reassuring, now held a steely edge as he addressed our group. "I'm afraid I have some bad news, folks," he began, his words cutting through the silence like a knife. "We've had reports of dangerous wildlife in the area, and for your safety, we're asking all campers to evacuate immediately." My cousin Sarah exchanged a worried glance with me, her eyes reflecting the flickering light of the fire. "But we didn't see any signs of wildlife," she protested, her voice tinged with uncertainty. Mark's expression remained impassive, his gaze unwavering. "It's better to be safe than sorry," he replied, his tone firm. "I suggest you pack up your belongings and leave as soon as possible." A sense of urgency gripped our group as we hastily gathered our gear, the once familiar surroundings now tinged with an air of foreboding. The darkness of the forest seemed to press in around us, suffocating in its intensity as we hurried to comply with Mark's directive. As we fled into the night, the forest swallowed us whole, its secrets shrouded in darkness as we left behind the safety of our campsite. And as we ventured into the unknown, the echoes of our hasty departure lingered in the air, haunting reminder of the dangers that lurked just beyond the edges of our perception.